So great stories provide this framework for children into which all the other knowledge can be attached. We have an orienting sort of feature with these great stories. So everything else we offer to the children we call key lessons. This metaphor of a key is very important because it really is how we approach offering further knowledge to the children. So we can think about the great stories as providing, just hundreds of doors to the children, just doors that lead to further knowledge. So after we've done the great stories, we observe and see what keys do children need? Where are they interested? Where do they need further knowledge? How can I provide a key? But think carefully about what a key does. A key simply unlocks the door. It doesn't even open it. It just unlocks it. We have to be sure that what we're doing is unlocking doors for children, that we're not taking them through on a guided tour, as Margaret Stevenson says. That's not our job. Our job is to unlock doors so the children can take themselves through and explore. This is really important for their imaginations and for their self-construction. We have to remember that the keys are very individual. Certainly, there's knowledge that most children need, but not every child needs every key. I had a little girl once, my last year of teaching, who was going through the shelves determined to get a lesson on everything from me because she was upset I was leaving. And she, was in her fourth year, 10 years old, and she came to me and said, I need racks and tubes. You never gave me a lesson on that. And I said, well, you've been doing long division on paper for years. I'm sure you had racks and tubes. But I looked at my records and sure enough, she was right. She had the stamp game division, never needed racks and tubes. She went on to paper without it. Not every child needs every key, even when it's an amazing material like the racks and tubes. She did make me give her that lesson just so she could check it off in her own head. But we don't have to do that for the children. We don't have to do that at all. So we can't look at all of our key lessons as a curriculum that has to be checked off because not every child is going to need every key. And some children will need more beyond what we have. So we'll have to create some key lessons for children to help further their knowledge and further their self-construction. We have to be sure that keys are simply offering what is necessary and sufficient, Montessori says, to unlock that door. We don't want to offer too much. We don't want to spoil the exploration the children can have. We offer just enough to unlock that door and inspire them to explore further. We can always offer another key later on when they need it, but perhaps they won't. Perhaps they'll find the key for themselves. And that sort of knowledge acquisition where they own it, they teach themselves, that's so powerful. I mean, we know that even as adults, how great it feels when we teach ourselves something, when we discover it on our own. And that's what we're trying to offer to the children all the time. The keys for their own discovery so that it's theirs, not something I've deposited in them, but something they have taught themselves. We've talked about how this approach requires a very different adult. Requires a lot of humility. I'm not the one that taught you. You taught yourself. It requires self-discipline to, we love the universe, but we're not going to share every detail with the children to spoil the discoveries. So that requires us to really shift in how we approach the children. And we can't take all these amazing materials and key lessons and turn them into teaching tools. We have to remember that the reason we have all these lovely things in our environments is to help the children teach themselves. I'm just showing you how to use it. You'll learn through your own work. We're not saying this out loud to the children, but this is the approach we have to remember. The children aren't learning from my teaching. They're learning from their experience with the idea, the material, the presentation, the key that I have offered. And that'll happen usually long after I've moved on to another group to give a different presentation. If we offer a key at just the right time, it will ignite the children in activity. We'll see them excited and passionate about work. If we offer a key and then offer a workbook or an assignment, we have sort of crushed the imagination's potential. We have limited the child's work. And Margaret Stevenson tells us we might as well have left the door closed if we're going to do that. We have to be sure that we unlock the door and leave the children free. Because when we assign, we're limiting their possibilities. When we leave them open, they can do amazing things. Like I had a group of children, I gave a presentation on circumference. Off they went. They traced a number of circles onto beautiful paper and made a mobile. And the length of the string up for each circle was the length of the circumference of that circle. I could not have been creative enough to assign that kind of follow-up work. They came to it, they owned it, they learned circumference. That was their work. We have to do that with key lessons. We have to be sure we are leaving them free to work and choose their work so the imagination can explore to its heart's content. So this kind of approach we have to have a lot of keys that we know we have to offer to the children, and then we have to observe and see when they're ready for them and be sure that we're only offering what they need and not just offering it because it's, the next lesson on the list. We're really making sure these keys respond to the children in front of us and that they're just enough to spark them to activity and to ignite their imaginations.